Ah. Are we back? Are we back? I don't even know if we're back. God damn it. Oh, okay. I think we're back. Hola. What's up, chunks? You had what's up, Hope? Okay. Wing Chun. You had a small anxiety attack? Why? What happened? I don't know. I think it was on my end. I don't think it was YouTube. It was on my end. My router restarted or something. Or I don't know why. Um Either it was my router restarted or it was my modem restarted. So I don't know why it chose that time to do it. Maybe we had an update. Yeah. No, that was on my end. Okay, we can't blame YouTube for this time. We can blame them for other times. Nom, 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 nom. All right, well, it's a good time for me to go pee. All right, while people join back on the stream. How much did I read before? Where did we stop at? Tell me in the chat where we stopped at. Is it this page? Is it where? Was I still on this page? Give me a couple minutes. The horse got shot in the eye, and fourth evil was about to retreat. Okay, where is that? Horse got shot in the eye. Okay, so we stopped that here. Yeah. Yeah, the stream went down. Okay, that was intentional. That was intentional. Okay, I was trying to see who was awake and who was asleep. Okay? And you all pass. You all pass. You in the stream right now. The other people, they're dead to me. Okay, I like you guys more. I have to sing. Why do I have to sing? Wait. That's not fair. That's not what we agreed upon. Alright, so I think let's start here. The horse whined and collapsed. We start on a dead horse. The sage of the hollow jade turned her horsehair whisk and caught the iron fingers in Yun Zhonghe's right hand. Zhu Danchen quickly ran up and attacked continuously with 3 strokes. At the same time, the sage of the hollow jade and Yun Zhonghe were having a tug of war. Although Yun Zhonghe's internal energy was much stronger, he was using half of it to block Zhu Danchen's judge's brush, and to also defend himself against Mu Wanqing's poison darts. Thus, he felt his hand tremble, and at the same time, both the horsehair whisk and iron fingers left their hands and flew up in the sky. He knew that today he could not possibly win, and he cursed. Fellows of Dali are always winning, with more people! Leaping up from the saddle, his body flying out like an arrow, the iron fingers in his left hand caught the branches of a big willow tree nearby, and turning over, he was already a few meters away. Mu Wanqing shot a dart towards him, and pah! It landed on the willow tree. As for Yun Zhonghe, he was already gone and nowhere to be seen. Following this, Dan Qiang Qiang, Dang Qiang Qiang, and both the horsehair whisk and iron fingers landed on the ground. Zhu Danchen went on his knees and bowed respectfully to the sage of the hollow jade, saying, Danchen almost lost his life today. Thank you for the rescue. The sage of the hollow jade smiled and replied, I haven't touched any weapons for over 10 years, and my skills have deproved. I think that means that's the opposite of improved. Brother Zhu, what is the origin of this person? Zhu Danchen replied, I have heard that the 4 great evils are coming together to Dali. This person is ranked as the last of the 4th, but his martial arts skills are already so great. Thus we can imagine how the other 3 are. Could you please evade them for a while in the prince's palace, and let us deal with the 4 great evils first. The expression on the sage of the hollow jade's face slightly changed, and she said, Why should I still go to the prince's palace? If the 4 great evils come and I cannot defeat them, I shall just die. Zhu Danchen did not dare to continue talking and kept winking to Duan Yu, asking him to help plead with his mother. The horse died twice. I think it deserves some bells. Okay. Bells for the horse that died. Sorry, horse. Duan Yu picked up the horsehair whisk and handed it to his mother, and threw Yun Zhonghe's iron fingers into the lake, saying, Mother, these 4 great evils are really vicious. Since you do not wish to go home, I shall accompany you to Uncle's house instead. The sage of the hollow jade shook her head, saying, I am not going, and her eyes turned red, as though she was about to cry. Duan Yu said, Okay, since you are not going, I will stay here to accompany you. Turning his head, he said to Zhu Danchen, 4th brother Zhu, please inform my uncle and father that both mother and I are combining forces to defend ourselves against the 4 great evils. The sage of the hollow jade laughed and said, Not ashamed of yourself? What ability do you have to combine forces with me to defend against the 4 great evils? Although her son had caused her to start laughing, the tears that had been in her eyes finally flowed down her cheeks. She turned back and used her sleeves to wipe her tears. Mu Wanqing was puzzled and thought, Why would husband Duan's mother be a nun? Since Yun Zhonghe has left, he would definitely return, combining forces with the other 3 evils to attack. How would his mother be able to defend herself against them? Why does she simply refuse to go home to avoid them? Oh, there are many heartless men in this world. Husband Duan's father must have another woman, causing husband Duan's mother to be angry and thus becoming a nun. Thinking about this, she felt very sympathetic towards her and said, Sage of the hollow jade, I will help you defend against the enemies. The sage of the hollow jade studied her closely, and suddenly asked sternly, too many adverbs. Tell me the truth. How is the saber of antagonism, Qin Hongmian, related to you? Mu Wanqing also got angry and said, I told you earlier, I have never heard of that name before. I don't even know whether Qin Hongmian is male or female, human or beast. The sage of the hollow jade, hearing her say human or beast, immediately felt relieved as she was thinking, if she was a descendant of Qin Hongmian, she would never use the word beast. Thus, although Mu Wanqing had started arguing with her, her expression softened instead, and she said with a laugh, Please don't blame me, miss. Just now, when I saw the technique you used when you shot the darts, I thought that it was very similar to a lady that I knew. Furthermore, you bear some resemblance to her, thus leading me to think in that way. Miss Mu, may I know the names of your parents? Your kung fu is good. I believe that you are from a respectable family. His mother is savage. Mu Wanqing shook her head and replied, Since young, I did not have any parents, and it was my master that brought me up. I do not know the names of my parents. The sage of the hollow jade said, May I know who is your master? Mu Wanqing replied, My master is called the Guest of the Secluded Valley. The sage of the hollow jade muttered, The Guest of the Secluded Valley. The Guest of the Secluded Valley. And she looked towards Zhu Danchun with an inquiring expression. Zhu Danchun shook his head and said, Danchun has only been living in the far south, and has very little knowledge and scanty information. Thus I know very little about the heroes, heroines, and elders of the Central Plains. I believe that this elder, the Guest of the Secluded Valley, is some great master living in seclusion. Oh, really? Is that your guess? Is that your guess, Sherlock Holmes? With these few sentences, he meant that he had never heard of the title, the Guest of the Secluded Valley. While they were talking, they suddenly heard the sound of hooves outside the willow forest, and someone shouted, Fourth brother, is young master all right? Zhu Danchun called back, Young master is here, and he is fine. Moments later, 3 horses appeared and stopped in front of the monastery. Zhu Wanli, Gu Ducheng, and Fu Si Gui got off their horses and walked closer. Excuse me. Remember, these guys are the four guardians, or the 4 guards or whatever, of Dali. They walked closer, falling on their knees and bowing to the sage of the hollow jade. Mu Wanqing grew up in the wilderness since young, and being irritated by all the etiquette, she thought, All these people have so high kung fu, why do they fall to their knees and bow when they see people? The sage of the hollow jade noticed that the 3 of them looked rather disheveled. Fu Si Gui had a wound on his face, and half his face was wrapped in a bandage. Gu Ducheng had bloodstains on his body, and Zhu Wanli's metal stick had been broken in half. She hurriedly asked, What is it? Is the enemy very strong? How is Si Gui's injury? Hearing her ask about it, Fu Si Gui got angry and said, It is all Si Gui's fault for not being proficient enough, and I am very ashamed of myself. I am sorry for worrying your highness. The sage of the hollow jade said rather sadly, Still calling me your highness. Please remember more correctly. Fu Si Gui lowered his head and said, Yes, please pardon me, your highness. He still used your highness, as he was used to it, and it was difficult for him to change. Who is Duan Yu's family? They must be very high up there. Zhu Danchun said, Where is Lord Gao? Zhu Wanli replied, Lord Gao was afflicted with an internal injury, and it was not suitable for him to ride a sprinting horse. He will be here very soon. The sage of the hollow jade let out a soft ah, and said, Even Lord Gao is injured. Is he okay? Zhu Wanli replied, Lord Gao was fighting with a divine croc. At the crucial moment, second Madam Ye suddenly launched a sneak attack. Lord Gao was unable to divert his energies to fend off the attack, and the blow landed on his back. The Sage of the Hollow Jade took Duan Yu's hand and said, Let's go and look for Uncle Gao. The two of them walked out of the willow forest, and Mu Wanqing followed them. Zhu Wanli tied their horses to a willow tree and followed behind. You want to know who Mu Wanqing's parents are? You don't trust that she's not Duan Yu's sister again? That'll be really funny. In the distance, a horse trotted towards them, and there was a person lying on the back of the horse. The Sage of the Hollow Jade and the others walked quickly towards the horse and realized that the person was Gao Shengtai. Oh, this is Lord Gao. Duan Yu went forward swiftly and asked, Uncle Gao, how are you feeling? Gao Shengtai replied, quite okay, and raised his head. Seeing the Sage of the Hollow Jade, he struggled, trying to get off the horse to bow. The Sage of the Hollow Jade said, Lord Gao, you are injured. There is no need to bow. However, Gao Shengtai had already gotten off the horse, and he bowed, saying, Gao Shengtai pays his respect to your highness. The Sage of the Hollow Jade returned the greeting and said, go and help Uncle Gao. Mu Wanqing was puzzled and thought, this person with the surname Gao has such high kung fu, using only a metal flute. He made second Madam Ye retreat with only a few strokes. Why is he so respectful when he sees husband Duan's mother, and he addressed her as your highness? Could it be that husband Duan is some sort of prince? But this bookworm does things so weirdly. How can he be a prince? The Sage of the Hollow Jade said, Lord Gao, please go back to Dali to rest. Gao Shengtai replied, Yes, the four great evils are coming together to Dali, and the situation is really dangerous. Your Highness, please go back temporarily to the prince's palace. The Sage of the Hollow Jade sighed and said, In my lifetime, I will never go back there again. Gao Shengtai said, Since this is so, we shall guard Yushu Monastery. He turned to Fu Sigui and said, Sigui, please, go back and inform them immediately. Fu Sigui replied, Yes, and ran towards the horses tied outside Yushu Monastery. His dad seems to be a player. That's why his mom is a nun. Got tired of his cheating. Oh. Interesting theory. The Sage of the Hollow Jade said, Wait! And lowered her head, thinking. Fu Sigui immediately stopped. Mu Wanqing noticed the Sage of the Hollow Jade's expression, showing that she was in a dilemma and could not decide what to do. The afternoon sun shone on her face, showing her radiance. Although the Sage of the Hollow Jade was already middle-aged, she had not lost her beauty. Mu Wanqing thought, Husband Duan's mother is so beautiful, just like the goddess of mercy in the painting. The goddess of mercy, you know who that is? That is the Bodhisattva Kannon in Japanese, or Guan Yin in Chinese. She's very famous, and a lot of people pray to her. She's a very famous Bodhisattva in the Buddhist pantheon. After some time, the Sage of the Hollow Jade lifted up her head and said, Okay, let's all go back to Dali. I am only one person, and I must not make everyone take this risk with me. Duan Yu was delighted and jumped up to hug her neck, crying, That's my good mother. Fu Sigui said, Your subordinates shall go and inform them of these news. And he ran back, untying the horse and getting onto it, sprinting towards the north. Zhu Wanli led the horses towards them, letting the Sage of the Hollow Jade, Duan Yu, and Mu Wanqing get on them. The group of them headed towards Dali, with the Sage of the Hollow Jade, Mu Wanqing, Duan Yu, and Gao Shengtai riding the horses. while Zhu Wanli, Gu Ducheng, and Zhu Danchen went on foot. After several kilometers, they saw a troop of soldiers on horses heading towards them. Zhu Wanli went ahead of them and said something to the troop leader. The troop leader gave a command, and suddenly all the soldiers got off their horses and fell to their knees. Duan Yu waved and said with a laugh, "There's no need to stand on ceremony." The troop leader gave an order for 3 horses to be given up for Zhu Wanli and the rest to ride. He himself led the troops to clear the way for them. The sound of many hooves could be heard as they headed towards the main path. Mu Wanqing saw this display of power and realized that Duan Yu was no ordinary person. She got worried and thought, "I thought he was just some poor scholar wandering the country. Thus, if he wanted to marry anyone, he could just marry. However, judging at that rather big show of power, he could be a relative of the emperor or some high-ranking official. What if he looks down on me, a woman from the wilderness? Master has told me that the richer a man is, the more heartless he will be, and that when he takes a wife, he must have a marriage between families of similar social rank. If he marries me properly, it shall be okay, but if he has second thoughts about it, and keeps refusing to do it, I shall cut him with my sword. I am not going to care how influential he is." Thinking about this, she could not hide it in her heart anymore, and she went to Duan Yu and asked, "Who in the world are you? The agreement that we had at the summit of the mountain, does it still count?" Duan Yu saw that there were people in front and behind their horses, yet she suddenly asked directly about their marriage. He couldn't help feeling embarrassed and said with a laugh, "When we are in Dali City, I shall tell you slowly about it." Mu Wanqing replied, "If you dare to let me down." After repeating these words, she could not continue and broke off. Duan Yu realized how flushed her face was and saw the tears in her eyes, making her even more beautiful. Because tears make you more beautiful? Making his love for her grow, and he said softly to her, "I couldn't hope for more. Don't worry, my mother likes you too." You're getting vibrations from the audio? You're getting static from the audio. I don't know why. Let me see. I don't know. I hope that fixed it, but we'll just keep on going. Part 2, translated by Pacifian. Thank you, Mr. Pacifian. Mu Wanqing's teary face broke into one of laughter, and in a soft voice she said, whether or not your mom likes me, why should I care? The underlying meaning of this, of course, was that so long as you like me, that would be all that matters. Duan Yu's heart shook for an instant, and at the corner of his eye, he could see his mother staring at the pair of them, wearing an expression that seemed like a smile. He could not help feeling deeply embarrassed. By then, it was the shun hours of the day, which is from 3 to 5 p.m., and they were approximately 20 to 30 li from the city of Dali. Ahead, as clouds of dust swirled about in frenzy, what seemed like 1,000 soldiers on horses rode towards them in rows. 2 flags, apricot yellow in color, fanned out along with the wind. 2 huge words in red, which read Zhen Nan, were written on one of the flags, while the other one had the words Bao Guo in black. So Zhen Nan means military guardian of the south, and Bao Guo means protector of the country. "Mum," Duan Yu called out, Dad's personally came to fetch you." Oh, we get to meet his dad now. The sage of the hollow jade replied with a sound and brought the horse to a halt. Gao Shengtai and the others got down their horses together to make way. Duan Yu rode his horse forward. Mu Wanqing hesitated slightly before following suit. Soon the distance between... Hey, this translator is pretty good. I see the difference immediately. Soon the distance between both parties closed in. Duan Yu yelled, "Dad, Mum's back! Dad, Mum's back!" The two flag carriers made way to the sides, and a man wearing purple robes rode straight towards them on a large white horse. "You the man roared. "You're sure extremely mischievous. You've caused your Uncle Gao to get into such serious injuries. See if I don't break both your legs." Startled, Mu Wanqing thought, "You want to break Duan Lang's legs? Even if you're his father, no way should you do that." The man in purple had such a rectangular face, it looked like the Chinese character Guo, with thick brows. So his face looked like this character. We can visualize it. So that's his father. With thick brows and large eyes, he wore a fierce and domineering facial expression, not without carrying an air of a king. Seeing his son has come home without any harm, he looked 3/10 furious and the other 7/10 relieved. "How fortunate Duan Lang's looks so much like his mother and not like you. Had he been as fierce looking as you, I would definitely not like it," thought Mu Wanqing. Duan Yu rode forward, laughing. "Dad, shall you be healthy always?" Feigning anger, the man in purple robes said, "Healthy? What? At least I'm not angered to death with you." Oh, he only translated like a minor part. Duan Yu laughingly replied, "If it weren't for me heading out this time, how could I have brought Mother back? I think I really have performed an awe-inspiring act of great merit, so let's just consider myself as having redeemed myself. Father, don't be angry." The man in purple robes, upon hearing this response, answered, "Even if I don't beat you up, your uncle will not let you off lightly." Applying pressure to his horse's sides, the white horse suddenly flew towards the direction of the Sage of the Hollow Jade. Mu Wanqing is going to have a tricky time with her in-laws. Yeah, I wonder who these in-laws are. Mu Wanqing saw that the squadron of cavalry was clothed in fine brocade, wearing shining helmets and their weapons glimmering in the light. 20 people in front held aloft a banner, upon which was written 6 words: "Dali's is South subduing Prince Duan." On the side of the tiger-headed banner were the words, "Great General Duan, protector of the country." Even though she was a person who feared neither heaven nor earth, upon seeing this majestic, awe-inspiring show, she couldn't help but feel great respect. So he's like a great general. Turning to Duan Yu, she asked, "Hey, this south-subduing prince, great general who protects the country, is your dad, right?" Laughing, Duan Yu nodded his head. In a low voice, he responded, "Yes, that would be your father-in-law." Mu Wanqing reined in her horse in a daze. All of a sudden, her heart was filled with confusion. She was stupefied for a long period of time before finally spurring her horse to gallop forward to Duan Yu's side. On the main street, there were people everywhere. Suddenly, in her heart, she was feeling an inexpressible solitude, making her want to stay close to Duan Yu. Only then did she calm down a little. The south-subduing prince slowed his horse down roughly 10 feet away from the Sage of the Hollow Jade. The two exchanged glances for some time. I look at you, you stare at me. Neither of them opened their mouths. Duan Yu spoke. "Mother, Dad personally came to receive you and escort you home." The Sage of the Hollow Jade replied, Go tell your aunt that I'm back. I'll stay with her for a few days. After we've beaten off our enemies, I'll return to the Hollow Jade Monastery. Oh, Mom doesn't even talk to Dad. She's not even talking to him. The South subduing prince laughed. Wife, you're still angry at me? Let's go home. Afterwards, I'll slowly make everything up to you. The sage of the Hollow Jades' face was unmoved. I'm not going home. I'm entering the palace. Duan Yu said, that works too. Let's all enter the palace first and pay a visit to Uncle and Auntie. Mother, this time your son snuck outside to have some fun, and Uncle definitely is going to be furious. Dad probably isn't going to speak up on my behalf this time. It'll have to be you who begs for clemency on my behalf. The sage of the Hollow Jade responded, the older you grow, the less responsible you get. It is going to be necessary to allow your uncle to thrash you and teach you a lesson. Duan Yu laughingly responded, the blows may fall on the son's body, but the pain will occur in the mother's heart. That's a good line. I like that. It's best if I don't get beaten. The sage of the Hollow Jade let out a small laugh. Ha! The harder you get beaten, the better. I have no sympathy for you at all. Would I like a beer? I have some wine. You know what? Maybe I'll take a swig. Okay, so it looks like his dad is some like super great general. I wonder who his uncle could be. Who could his uncle be? Alright, cheers, chat. Initially, there was an aura of awkwardness between the South subduing prince and the sage of the Hollow Jade, but with Duan Yu cracking jokes and being so light-hearted, he managed to get a laugh out of the sage of Hollow Jade. Breaking the icy tone of the meeting, Duan Yu said, Dad, you have a good horse. Why aren't you letting Mother ride it? The sage of the Hollow Jade replied, I refuse. With a kick, she spurred her horse to gallop forwards and away from them. Duan Yu spurred his own horse onwards as well, overtaking her and grabbing the reins of his mother's horse. The South subduing prince had already dismounted and walked it over towards them. Giggling, Duan Yu hugged his mother and placed her on the saddle of his father's horse. With a laugh, Duan Yu said, Mother, a peerless and unequaled beauty such as yourself, riding this white horse becomes even more attractive. You are like the Bodhisattva Guanyin herself, having descended upon the mortal world. Laughing, the sage of the Hollow Jade replied, That girl of yours, surnamed Mu, is the real peerless beauty without equal. You're just making fun of your mother, this old lady. The South subduing prince turned to look at Mu Wanqing. Duan Yu said, She is Miss Mu. She is your son's good friend. The South subduing prince saw the expression on his son's face and immediately understood his real meaning. He saw that Mu Wanqing had a clear, pure complexion and was very beautiful, and secretly cheered. You have pretty good eyesight. He saw Mu Wanqing's gaze was cloudy and distant, and she did not come forward to pay her respects. He thought to himself, so, she's a girl from the countryside who doesn't understand propriety. His heart was still filled with anxiety over the state of Gao Shengtai's injuries. He quickly strode over to the latter's side. Younger brother Tai, how are your internal injuries? He stretched out his finger to touch Gao Shengtai's wrist, feeling for his pulse. Gao Shengtai replied, My due meridian received some injuries, but it's no big deal. There is no need. Wait, was his voice a little bit older? My due meridian received some injuries, but it's no big deal. There is no need for you to waste your energy. I don't think Gao Shangtai is that old though. I think I gave him a voice that was much too old. Oh yeah, he's a younger brother. All right, we need a younger voice. My due meridian receives some injuries, but it's no big deal. There's no need for you to waste your energy. That's a little too young. Before he even finished speaking, the South subduing prince had already extended the forefinger of his right hand and struck 3 times at the back of the neck, then pressed on his waist with his free hand. From the top of the South subduing prince's head arose thin wisps of white smoke. His father has white smoke coming out of his head. It wasn't until the amount of time it would take to drink a cup of tea had passed before he would release his hold. Gao Shangtai said, Elder brother Chun, with powerful enemies close by, how can you pick this time to waste your internal energy on me? The South subduing prince laughed. Your internal injuries are not light. The sooner we start to heal you, the sooner you'll get better. After I take you to see our elder brother, he won't let me help you, and would involve himself instead. Mu Wanqing saw that originally Gao Shangtai's face was terrifyingly white, but in such a short time color began to appear in his cheeks. In her heart she wondered, so husband Duan's father's internal energy has reached an extremely profound level. Why is that husband Duan doesn't know any martial arts at all? Chu Wanli came over with a horse and helped the South subduing prince mount. The South subduing prince and Gao Shangtai moved slowly as the former inquired in a quiet voice regarding the enemy's status. Duan Yu talked and laughed with his mother. Under the iron-clad guardsman's protection, they galloped towards the city of Dali. With everyone else occupied, it was unavoidable that Mu Wanqing was neglected. At dusk, the party entered the city of Dali via the southern gate. Wherever the 2 flags, South subduing and protecting country, went, the common people would loudly cheer, May the South subduing prince live 1,000 years! May the great general live 1,000 years! The South subduing prince waved to the people in response. Alright. Give me a couple of minutes break, alright? And we'll be right back. And we're back. Back. My taste in Chinese songs have gotten better. What do you mean? It was bad before? No. Okay, my tastes are great. My tastes are the best. I have the best taste. As Donald Trump would say. You think his dad is related to half the girls in the country? I don't think it's that bad. Alright, so we got to meet the mom and the dad. Okay, the dad is some powerful general, and we're going to meet his uncle. So yeah, and it looks like he's a very popular general too, because everywhere he walks, the people just around him just cheer. Mu Wanqing saw the teeming masses of people in Dali. The streets were newly paved and flat, and the marketplace was bustling. After crossing a number of intersections, they arrived at a large stone path, at the end of which was a towering palace covered in an uncountable number of golden tiles. The sun shone off the gleaming tiles, a beautiful sight, causing one to become dazzled. Upon reaching a memorial arch, the entire party dismounted. Mu Wanqing saw that on the memorial arch was written 4 large words in gold. Saintly road, broad compassion. She thought to herself, we must have arrived at the imperial palace of Dali. Husband Duan's uncle lives in the middle of the imperial palace. He must be a very high official. Most likely he's also another prince, or general, or something like that. We all know who he is, right? I think we all know at this point. Passing by the memorial arch, Mu Wanqing saw an inscribed board with the words Palace of Saintly Compassion written in gold. A court eunuch quickly appeared and said, Prince, I must report that the Emperor and the Empress are awaiting you at your home. Will the Lord Prince and the Imperial concubine please return to the South Subduing Palace and appear before His Majesty? The Imperial concubine. The South Subduing Prince replied, Understood. And Duan Yu laughed. Marvelous, marvelous. The sage of the hollow jade glanced at him, angrily asking, What's so marvelous? I'll just wait at the Imperial Palace for the Empress to return. But the eunuch replied, The Empress instructed me to request that the Imperial concubine immediately visit her, as she has urgent matters to discuss. The sage of the hollow jade muttered in a low voice, What type of urgent matter does she want to discuss? She's full of devilish schemes. Duan Yu knew that the Empress had planned this all out. She had anticipated that Duan Yu's mother would be unwilling to return to her own manor, and the Empress went to the South Subduing Prince's palace herself to wait for her, with the warm intention of reconciling Duan Yu's parents. Duan Yu was extremely pleased. After exiting, the party remounted and headed eastwards. Wait, hold on. Oh, guys. We're halfway. Okay, I think this is the last. This is the last paragraph. Wow, this chapter went by pretty fast, right? No, didn't it? We've already passed the halfway mark. After exiting, the party remounted and headed eastwards. After traveling for 2 li, they arrived in front of a large mansion. 2 large flags fluttered in front of the gate. On each flag was written, respectively, the words South Subduing and Protecting Country. At the top of the gate were the words South Subduing Palace. In front of the gate was a large number of imperial guards. They immediately came to attention and saluted. We respectfully welcome the prince and the imperial concubine back to their palace. And we're done. Did you guys like that? Did you guys like that chapter? Alright, so we get to meet Duan Yu's dad and mom. Okay. Mom is a nun now. But apparently she became a nun after after some issues happened with her husband, right? So she's a nun. She knows some martial arts. His dad is a general, a very famous one, and seems to be pretty popular with the people. And pretty high up there. And his uncle is someone very high up. And Mu Wanqing has no idea what's going on. All right. This one is not bad, actually. It's Cabernet. At first I didn't like it because I thought it was too strong. But you know what? It's pretty good. I don't really like wine, but this one's pretty good. Alright. Well, tune in next time to see who his uncle is and what went on with his parents. Okay? And will they be reconciled? Next time on Demi-Gods and Semi-Devils. You think she met her father? You think that's her father? Why are you guys so obsessed with incest? I don't understand. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. All right, guys. Okay, we're done. I'll see you next time. Why is everyone laughing in the chat? All right. I love you. I'll see you next time. All right. Peace.